So hello, this is Karen Yancey with Online Learning Services at the College of St. Rose, and I am going to go over the principles of collaborative learning in an online class from the book Online Collaboration, Learning Together in Community by Rena Pawloff and Keith Pratt. Essentially what they're saying is the purpose of online collaboration is or collaborative group work activities in an online class is to support the learning of each group member, and it fosters creativity and critical thinking skills. This gives them deeper levels of knowledge acquisition. Collaboration uses the constructivist approach, which involves the students constructing knowledge through the process of working with each other instead of acquiring knowledge through direct instruction from the instructor. Collaboration reduces a feeling of isolation and increases a sense of social presence in the class. The old read and discuss format of online classes is no longer considered best practice. Materials that promote interactivity, such as multimedia elements, video, audio, images, help create an active learning environment in an online class. Interaction is different from interactivity. Interaction is the contact between members and instructors. Interactivity is the use of multimedia material to create active, engaging learning environments that promote a sharing of ideas. And an explanation by the instructor of the importance and reasons for including a group work activity in an online class can help reduce resistance from the students and increase successful outcomes. A sense of community needs to exist for collaboration to occur, and it is critical for the instructor to create this. Networking happens in face-to-face classes, and it must happen in online classes as well. Instructors sometimes forget this element and will plunge students right into a group work activity without giving them a chance to know each other. So the roles of the instructor during a group work activity or collaborative activity is critical. The roles are to set the stage by explaining the importance and setting clear guidelines for the completion of the activity. Then the instructor needs to create the environment by setting the rules of engagement. The instructor needs to model the process of good collaborative behavior. One way to do this is to allow students to negotiate some of the parameters with which they will work with each other. And the instructor needs to guide the process by letting students know in advance how the instructor intends to be involved in the process. And this gives students a sense of confidence that they need to move forward because they know what to expect throughout the process. The instructor also needs to evaluate the process by giving students the opportunity to debrief the experience. They can have students regularly document their perceptions of how they are contributing to the online discussion and exchange of ideas. And this allows them to learn the conditions that make good, successful online class discussion and collaboration. And at the end of the activity, the instructor needs to allow student self-assessment and assessment of their group members. Some collaborative activities benefit from the teams creating a team charter if they're particularly large activities. This includes the purpose of the group, the deliverables, and the operating guidelines. And teams should come up with a decision-making strategy in case there is conflict. A way an instructor can reduce potential conflict is to clearly define group roles. The different roles within a group require students provide different types of support. If group members do not fulfill the agreement, the instructor will then follow up with the learner and remind them of the agreed upon responsibilities that they agreed to through the team charter. Now, there are different stages of development in group activities. There's the normative stage, when the group members get to know each other. There's the unity stage or problem-solving stage, when the group comes together to do the work. And then there's the conflict stage. This is when disagreement happens and they have to work through this. But this is good because it avoids something called groupthink mentality, when everyone agrees to something just to avoid conflict. And that reduces the quality of the product. So group mentality is something you want to discourage. It causes dissatisfied members, lower quality products. Having them go through a mild conflict stage and resolution stage helps increase the quality of the outcomes. Then there's the action phase that's characterized by harmony and productivity and good, thorough work. And at the end, there's the termination phase when the group work ends. Time has to be given for these stages for students to go through these stages, for the groups to go through these stages. So instead of just setting an activity to be done in 1 week that is a one product activity, it's recommended to have a larger multi-step project over a period of 3 or 4 weeks in which they have progressive deadlines and revised products. So they might have 3 or 4 grades as a result of a group work activity instead of just 1 grade over a short period of time. The assessment of collaborative work should be done with rubrics. Activities and assessment need to align with learning objectives. It makes it clear why the students are doing these activities if they are aligned with a learning objective. And it reduces student dissatisfaction of grades if there's evaluative material like a rubric that clearly states the conditions at which they will be graded, that it's objective and quantifiable. So students know what they're going to be graded on. When asking students to provide feedback to their peers, the instructor should make it clear that it needs to be constructive and to encourage improvement. And you can provide rubrics for this with guidelines on how students can provide feedback to their peers to give them guidance. Information about assessment and evaluation should be built right into the course guidelines at the very beginning and communicated to the students clearly to prepare them for their responsibilities for providing constructive feedback to their peers. This also gives them a sense of security because they know what to expect. Instructions need to be provided early on at the beginning of the class so that they know that coming up in week 4, there will be a large group project and they will have certain responsibilities. Types of collaborative activities that you can include in your class include role playing, in which students play different roles in an ethical dilemma. Simulations, in which students directly apply skills they've learned, such as computer coding skills, how to solve a problem. And they can include case studies. Instructors provide cases from the professional field, or they can even encourage classmates and students to bring cases from their own work experience to be discussed as a case study. And if you have resistance, or if you have students that are timid or don't want to do collaborative group work, dyads or paired activities tend to have less resistance if they only have to work with one other person. And then over time, you can shift to larger groups by pairing up a dyad into a group of 4. So you can ease your class into online collaborative activity if they haven't had much previous experience with it. Okay,